I've been playing FIFA career mode now since FIFA 99. I'm 20 years deep into my career mode journey and it's a game mode that I'll always have a lot of love for. Because of how much I love it though, that's why it disappoints me so much to see its stagnation in recent years. There needs to be a lot of work put into career mode moving forward, and today I'm going to be talking about my frustrations with FIFA 19 career mode. It's not all bad though. I've seen plenty of people suggest that FIFA 19 career mode is exactly the same as FIFA 18 career mode, and that's just a bit unfair in my opinion. There have been some improvements made and some features added that I've personally been wanting to see in the game for a number of years now. It's not enough though, there needs to be more done with career mode, and I for one am definitely keeping my fingers crossed for big changes from FIFA 20. Anyway though, let's get into these 10 things that I hate about FIFA 19 career mode, and if we can hit over 1,000 likes on this video today, then I'll put out a slightly more positive video soon, talking about the things that I love about FIFA 19 career mode. So if you want to hear the positives too, then you know what to do, and if you're new to the channel and you do go on to enjoy this video today, then be sure to stick around and subscribe for more. Also, just so that you've got something visual to focus on whilst I talk for the next 11 minutes or so, I'll have some computer versus computer gameplay on display throughout the course of this video, with a team of the best left-footed players taking on a side filled with the finest right-footed players in the game. A number of you have requested for me to do this in recent weeks, so let's give it a go. Keep leaving your video suggestions in the comments section, and maybe you'll see your video idea come to life in the not too distant future. Now then, this has been an issue for a while now, with big teams frequently resting their best players in career mode. You'll go up against Manchester United for instance, and the likes of Pogba, Lukaku and De Gea will all just be sitting on the bench. This is a massive problem, especially when you're managing a newly promoted side for instance, where every game you're underestimated, and top teams tend to put out a second string 11 against you. These big games should of course be a lot more difficult to play, but because of the team changes, facing clubs like City, Chelsea and Liverpool can often be easier than when you go up against lower rated sides, which obviously shouldn't be the case. I put out an experiment video recently where Messi made just 15 appearances throughout the course of an entire season. He wasn't injured, he just wasn't getting any game time. And in those 15 appearances that he did make, he only scored 5 goals, which doesn't exactly seem quite right either for a player that's basically averaged a goal per game over the course of the past decade or so. And another thing that frustrates me about career mode right now is the player potential system. At the moment, the way that player potentials work is that if a player has a certain potential, if they remain at the same club, they will reach that potential no matter what. Take Mbappe for instance. He's got 95 potential and genuinely could go on to become the very best player in world football. In career mode though, even if you just leave him to rot in the reserves and he doesn't play a single game for the first team, under the current potential system, he'll still reach that 95 rating. And if he's performing well in the starting 11, smashing in the goals week in week out, he'll still just hit a 95 rating. With player training you can of course push this rating even higher. Again though, you can do that regardless of whether or not a player's in good form, or whether or not they're even actually getting any game time whatsoever. If you send a player out on loan or sell them to another club, this can impact upon their potential either positively or negatively, which is a nice touch, as a transfer can sometimes make or break a player. Other factors need to impact upon a player's potential though. If a player's performing well, then their potential should rise, or if they pick up a major injury during their development, this should work against them. There needs to be some sort of range system implemented into the game. So take Mbappe for instance, he might end up at an 88 rating if he's not done so well in a save, or alternatively, he could be absolutely killing it and end up at a 98 rating or something like that. Rather than just having that absolute predefined potential for every single player. This would help make each individual save file a lot more unique, and we wouldn't just see the same old players smashing it every single time. And another disappointing factor about career mode right now is how quickly player ratings begin to drop off as a player gets older. Naturally, a player's abilities will begin to fade a bit once they reach a certain age, but in career mode right now, with outfield players as soon as they hit 30, you know that their stats are going to start dropping off massively. With Messi and Ronaldo for instance, I sim forward to the end of the 3rd season, and by the time we reached that point, Messi had dropped down by 6 ratings, whilst Ronaldo had dropped by 7. Ronaldo's decline does make slightly more sense as he is 36 years old by that point. At 33 years old however, Messi is the exact same age as Ronaldo is in real life right now, and Ronaldo has maintained a 94 rating in FIFA for 3 years in a row. Realistically, Messi's not going to get that much worse in the next few years, and the player decline system needs to be reworked. It's not quite as bad as it was a few years back, when I once saw Lionel Messi end up with 1 agility and 1 pace, but it's still not quite right. And another thing that's not quite right is the distribution of attributes for generated players in the game. Continuing with the Messi and Ronaldo theme, in this particular save, Ronaldo's regen came through with just 60 finishing, whilst Messi's regen had a rather pathetic 48 for finishing. Across the board, generated forwards tend to have pretty low finishing stats for their rating, whilst generated wingers will usually be a lot more blessed in this department. Finishing can of course be trained if you're signing these players for your club, but if they remain on CPU controlled teams, their finishing will forever be a lot lower than it probably should be, and it's an all too familiar sight to see extremely high rated strikers with finishing stats in the 70s. Now though, for some of you this next point might not seem like too much of an issue. For others however, it'll be the cause of much frustration. In FIFA 18 career mode we had 8 save file slots, a number which was already fairly limited, but for most people probably perfectly adequate. This year however, the number's been halved. We've only got 4 save file slots now, so if you're someone that likes to manage a variety of different teams throughout the course of a year, at some point you may find yourself facing a tough choice and needing to overwrite a save file that really you would have liked to have kept, and in the past would have been able to. And something else that irks me about career mode right now is the inability to jump into simulated matches. When you're playing Madden or NBA Live for instance, you can jump into a simulated match at any point and take control of your team in order to save the day if things aren't exactly going to plan. And in fact, this used to be the case in FIFA once upon a time as well. For years now though, simulated matches in career mode have been extremely basic and limited. You pick the team, you set the game to sim, and the result is determined without any ability whatsoever to influence the match in any way, shape or form once it's started. And this is made all the more frustrating by the fact that simulated away games are so much more difficult to win in career mode this year. You could have the best team in the world, but if you're playing away from home then all bets are off. You'll randomly lose to some seriously bizarre teams, just because they have the home advantage. Or alternatively, you could be playing at home, stick Messi in goal and come away with the win, purely because the home factor is working so massively in your favour. There should definitely be a home advantage built into the game. I'm just not sure it should really be quite such a massive deciding factor as it currently is. And another feature that we've seen removed from career mode in recent years is the request funds feature. It was removed from the game back in FIFA 17, and it was always a feature that I personally found to be extremely useful, especially when managing a team from a lower level. Much like in Football Manager, if you found yourself to be performing well above expectations, you could up the ante, let the board know that you could provide more success than was originally anticipated, and request extra funds to help you achieve your goals. It's still a thing on the Nintendo Switch version of the game, but on Xbox and PS4, the feature has been missing since FIFA 16 career mode, and personally, I miss it massively. For a few years now, real life managers have had their genuine likeness in the game, so you'll be able to see the likes of Mourinho, Klopp and Guardiola strutting their stuff on the sidelines. If you're managing a team however, then you just get the choice of 11 fairly generic looking managers, the youngest of which looks like they're probably meant to be in their mid to late 30s. Granted, you don't exactly see too many fresh-faced teenage top-level managers, but it'd still be quite nice to have a few more options anyway. And maybe some customization beyond choosing whether they're wearing a suit, a shirt and tie or a tracksuit. I'd love to see manager customization on a level with the options that we're given when creating a player. Or alternatively, with plenty of managers having their faces in the game now, it'd be great if we could at the very least choose to use one of their faces rather than the generic options that we currently have. If you're playing the game on PC, there are mods available to spice things up a bit, but if you're playing the game on console, you're stuck with limited options as to how your manager looks, and frankly, that's just a bit disappointing. And finally, and let's face it, this is a pretty massive problem, and that's that there are no major new features that have been added for FIFA 19 career mode. The game mode isn't quite as neglected as pro clubs, and there are some minor differences, but nothing that's really going to massively blow your mind. Since the introduction of player training back in FIFA 16, there's not really been anything added to career mode that's massively taken the game mode forward or changed the way that we play the game. Last year, transfer negotiation cutscenes were added to the game, which was kind of cool. And again, this year there have definitely been some nice little touches and improvements here and there, but when a FIFA developer was quoted back in July saying that the reintroduction of the Champions League and Europa League licensing was the big update to career mode this year, we knew that we weren't really going to be seeing anything particularly substantial. Licenses are great, and naturally it's good to see the Champions League and Europa League licensing back with EA. But the return of Champions League licensing isn't even a career mode specific feature. It's a positive change for the game as a whole, and it's a definite plus point for career mode in terms of providing a more immersive gameplay experience. But we already had an unlicensed version of the tournament in career mode anyway in the form of the Champions Cup, so it doesn't really change anything about the game mode other than adding a bit of visual gloss. From FIFA 16 to FIFA 19 career mode, not an awful lot has really changed. I've got high hopes for FIFA 20, but that said, I've had high hopes for quite a few years now, and so far I've been left bitterly disappointed. There's so much more that could be done with career mode, and it can get a lot better in the future. We'll just have to wait and see what's done with the game mode moving forward though, and let's keep our fingers crossed for a brighter future ahead. Anyway though, thanks for watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video, leave it a like if you have done, and if you've got any feedback for me, I do read all of the comments in the comments section, so yeah, let me know your thoughts and I look forward to hearing from you. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch you again next time.